Hey guys, it's day one after my tattoo appointment. I'm gonna walk you guys through my healing process and what I usually do. Every single time, I've been getting tattoos now for 3 years. Every single time I've gotten work done on my sleeve, I go through the same process, and it's never given me any issues. I don't have any scarring, I don't get an infection, I don't get any discoloration, none of that. It's always worked for me, so this is just what I do. Quick disclaimer, everybody is different, so what may work for me might not necessarily work for you. So, talk to your tattoo artist, you guys can discuss what they recommend, and then you can do your own personal preference on that. But this is what I do, so let's get started. First things first is your soap. The soap you use is actually pretty important. Now, it doesn't have to be anything fancy like this tattoo goo soap, but this is what I use because it helps me a lot. And I use this for the first couple days. After that, you can just use like normal body soap or hand soap or whatever it is that you prefer. But the reason I like this soap so much is that if you look right here, it does have an antibacterial active ingredient. And yes, all the soaps advertise that they're antibacterial, but this one has an actual active ingredient, and we don't want an infection. That's the most important part of the first couple of days after a tattoo, is preventing an infection, because an infection leads to scarring, leads to a ruined tattoo. We don't want infections. So this is the first thing I do. I always wash it with lukewarm water. So lukewarm water plus soap, and you're not gonna scrub too hard. You're gonna gently rub in a circular motion, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you that in the video right now. So I actually slept overnight with this saran wrap on, and usually you won't do that for a smaller piece. The reason we did this because it was a full arm piece, because we basically did finishing touches everywhere. I actually normally don't even sleep with the full saran wrap on. We didn't want my arm to stick to my sheets at all. We just didn't want to risk it. And because it was shading and not line work, we were like, oh, it's fine. So again, talk to your tattoo artist, make sure you guys are on the same page about everything. But the key here, right, now that I have the saran wrap off, you gotta wash it, and you gotta wash it good. Treat it a little bit like you're handling chicken, I guess, being sanitary with everything. Always make sure the temperature of the water is good. You're not gonna be killing me now with the water running, but the wash is done, and I use lukewarm water on the very first wash because I want it slightly warmer to actually, take off some of that extra plasma and blood, ink that's in there. But in the future, I'm going to be using cold water. So the lukewarm is just because I don't want anything to stick. After your wash is done, you're going to want to take a paper towel, a clean paper towel. I always make sure, don't use anything that's kind of dirty, because then you're just defeating the whole point. And you're just going to pat. Don't rub, don't scrape, don't aggressively do anything. Just like this, you're just gonna pat each section that you had ink done. So in my case, it's gonna take a little bit of a time. But if you just have a piece on like your forearm, you can just pat it once and that's it. Like you don't want to dry it to the point that it's like bone dry, because you want there to be some moisture. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to apply some Saniderm. Now, I honestly would recommend Saniderm for everybody. It's something I think really makes the first couple days so much easier and better, just because the first couple days your skin is really prone to drying out really fast. And if you're like me and you work a 9 to 5, it's very hard to be able to moisturize it when you are stuck at work and you can't wash. That's the difference, right? So with Saniderm, you don't have to wash it over and over. Whereas if you go and you don't have Saniderm, every single time you want to go ahead and reapply moisturizer, you obviously need to re-wash your arm. But it's pretty horrible having to wash your tattoo and moisturize it at work with like not ideal circumstances, no clean paper towels, no clean sinks. It's just not a good idea. So I use Saniderm for the first couple of days. It makes your life a lot easier. The key with Saniderm here is that you need to make sure you're cutting it, like with a big piece, right? A small piece is easy, you just put it on whatever it is. With a big piece, you gotta make sure you're actually applying it so that it doesn't interfere with the mobility of your body, right? So like you notice how like I have my elbow crease here? I can't put Saniderm in this elbow crease. It's just not gonna work. Same thing goes for the outside of the elbow. It's just not gonna work, because you're gonna bend your arm, it's like a Band-Aid. If you bend it, it's not actually protecting it. And what can happen when you have it on a part of your arm that bends, like the top of your bicep here, is you're actually gonna affect the tattoo and the skin. So that's the only warning with Saniderm. Do not do that. So in my case, I'm gonna apply it over my forearm, and then I'm gonna apply it over this little section here. I'm not even gonna wrap it around my bicep. It's just gonna be a flat piece. And that's literally it. The rest of it, I am gonna wash and moisturize. But having a large part of it covered really helps the smaller parts that are exposed retain moisture, because you don't have so much of an open wound just letting all the moisture in your body out. So yeah, let me go ahead and show you. What I do here is I cut the Saniderm, and you gotta make sure you round the corners, right? So you never have like sharp edges, because then when you goes to taking it off, you're gonna regret it. So just go ahead and cut all this, and then you guys will see what it's done. Gave up on the big piece because I realized wrapping it around my arm is just not gonna work. By the way, this is my cat. This is Molly. Molly, say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. Hi to the camera. Okay, she's not gonna look. Anyways, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the wrist section first. This is arguably the most important section, just because your hands come in contact with so much bacteria on a day-to-day basis when you think about it in a tattoo perspective. And so we really want to make sure that this part is protected. So all I'm going to do is basically cover it up. I do have like a slight uptick section here, but that's okay, because the thing with Saniderm is, what it is you might be thinking, oh, are you gonna have this like stupid Saniderm logo on you all the time? But this is actually another part of it that peels off. So we have the first part that peels off, which is the white part, and we're not gonna stretch this out to like make it skin tight or anything. We're just gonna gently apply it on. You know, try not to have too many air bubbles. It's kind of not working with my wrist bone in the way, so that's annoying. Yeah, you don't want to place it down too hard either, because you want to be able to adjust it. And yeah, that's pretty good. That's about as good as it'll get. So yeah, you just kind of push it down, kind of pop the bubbles out when you can. But again, not too hard, not skin tight, nothing crazy. You want to be able to flex your arm, move around, rotate, all that good stuff. And it is going to be kind of like, oh, this is kind of tight at first, but once it's all the way on, like it is now, what actually happens, right, I'm going to stretch a little bit, make sure it isn't skin tight like I'm telling you, is you're going to peel off this top section with the logo on it. This is where the second skin part comes in. So I can just find part of it that I can peel. Here we go. So you can see as I peel this off, there's this nice see-through second skin on here. And because I wrapped it all the way around, I'm having it sticking to itself, which is not what we want to see. So grab that, perfect. And I just smooth down that free edge. And now you can see I can actually move my arm, right? Because I don't have this on here. That is much more restrictive than the actual second skin. And if we look here, right, you'll see my arm here. This part now, I can get wet, I can touch it, no problems at all. You see that? And as I'm sure you can imagine now, this is very, very convenient. I can sweat and shower and I got no problems. So I'm just gonna do the rest of my arm. And you want the Saniderm to go over a little bit more than just the actual tattoo area. Like I didn't get any work done on the dragon, but the reason is you don't want it to leave even slightly adjacent skin exposed, because that will also then lead to you leaking a little more moisture than you want. It's all about keeping it moisturized. The healing process is all about keeping it moisturized because your skin needs moisture to heal. That's like the principle of healing skin is moisture. So you got to be chugging lots of water. And I already drink lots of water, right? But especially on creatine and healing from a tattoo, like you need to be drinking like, I don't know, 3-4 gallons of water a day. Like, you gotta be drinking a lot. You don't have to, but I mean, you really should be. So I'm gonna put this tiny one right here because this part of my arm is exposed. And yes, I'm touching my arm now with my hands, but if you haven't noticed, the right arm is the one touching the scissors. This one is touching the paper. This hand has been clean the whole time. And there you go, guys. Entire arm Sanidermed up. The last step is this tattoo moisturizer. It's really just like shea butter. It's called Hustle Butter. This is the brand that I use. My artist recommends it. I've used it for a very long time and I really like it. It's great also just for normal moisturizing, but especially for tattoo moisturizing. Let's see if there's anything like special. I mean, it just has like a bunch of like extracts in here that are actually really good for skin healing. It just promotes skin healing. So top tier. This is not expensive either. Okay, so I've used this, like this will last you, if you use it just for tattoo care, it'll probably last you for like, even with a big piece like this, it'll last you for multiple appointments. I used it for an entire year. So since my last appointment, I've been using it on my arm. And this is finally the second case that I just bought for this appointment to make sure I had enough. So this lasts you forever. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you. I'm just gonna pop it open. It just melts into your finger. Like watch, I'm gonna push down a little and it just starts kind of like pushing out. And so the key with it is, right, is you're gonna take it like so, and then you're just gonna put it like on your arm, kind of like that, right? And here, let me pick a little more easy to view spot. I'll put it right here, okay? So there's no Saniderm here. We're gonna give it like, 10 seconds, maybe 20, because it's cold in Florida right now for some reason. And if you notice, okay, this is starting to melt already on my skin. And so that's the beauty of it as a tattoo healing cream, is you don't have to like scrub it in. Like most lotions, you gotta like really rub in. This one actually melts. And so you can literally just go like this with your fingers and gently rub it in. Not only is it not painful to put on, it doesn't scratch you when you put it on, it also feels good because it's so soft. You see this one's already melting too, and it just kind of goes on. A benefit of it is it also smells pretty good. So it smells good. It's really nice to put on. As you can tell, this literally is the most comfortable part of the whole process. And You can also tell now why I don't want to do this for my whole arm 6 times a day while I'm at work. Because this whole process is pretty extensive when you have a full piece like this. It's going to take a long time to do this. Especially the first few days, because you can't just like rub it in. You gotta like really massage it in gently. Yeah, also another note before I forget, when you're moisturizing, yes, you want it to be really moisturized. Yes, you want to like make sure you cover everything, but this is key here too that I've made sure to implement every time, is frequent moisturizing is far more effective than over moisturizing infrequently. So I'll say that again. You want to frequently moisturize your tattoo rather than throw on way too much moisturizer so to the point where your skin can't breathe only once or twice a day. So that's why I said like 6 times a day, because I genuinely will moisturize this like every 2 hours, every 3 hours. Now, you know, all the artists recommend, you know, at least every 4 to 5 hours. Yes, at least. But if you want it to heal faster, why not just every 2 to 3 hours? It's not like the moisturizer is expensive. You know, you spend all this time, this effort on your ink, why not take care of it? And so yeah, as you see, I'm basically almost done. Because of the Saniderm, I don't really need to moisturize the majority of my ink, and now I just need to figure out where my arm is actually still exposed. I think just the elbow here. Yeah. And you see, I'm gonna actually apply it to my non-worked on ink too, because it's that was a little rough. It's good for like the actual after, like years after you've done it. It helps keep it nice and shiny. You know, I got a bunch of red over here, and this has nothing to do with the tattoo. This is actually from my shoulder workout on the cut. I'm just straight up getting stretch marks at this point. So, yeah, you know, just you can see how much harder I'm pressing down on the healed part is because it goes in a lot faster when you press down hard. You know, my sleeve is fully covered with Saniderm. Moisturized for the first time since the appointment, and you can tell it looks pretty freaking good. We still have a lot of redness in here, a lot of bumpiness. That's because it's just day 1. I want to keep you guys updated, but really from here it's cruising, right? We're not gonna have any issues. We never do. All I gotta do is being mindful of the creasing areas, because they're subject to being over moisturized because it folds over itself, right? You just don't want, when you're creasing your arm, like if you sit at a desk all day, you don't want it to not get air. It needs to be able to breathe. So when I do my ink, I always try and keep my arm as straight as possible. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but like instead of having my arm on an armrest, I'll keep it straight out on the table in front of me. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.